Nigel back at home this weekend. Plays were done well recently, 2-0 wins in succession. Looking forward to getting back to Ashton Gate.
Yes, it will be good to try and emulate our recent form there, but it will be a tough game because Preston have proved to be a difficult opponent, or certainly difficult to score against. So we, I suppose, the opposites face each other at the weekend. So we've been quite free scoring, and they've been a bit of a tough nut to crack. So it should be an interesting game, but we've got to try and maintain the standards that we've been setting recently, which have been good.
As you said, tough nut to crack. They've conceded 1 goal, I think, in 8 games.
Yeah.
Given the number of chances we have, particularly against Blackburn, and how well we have been scoring, does that encourage you that we actually can break them down?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just about us trying to win the game. We have to show discipline again and play our own game. So we'll let them worry about us somewhat. But look, it's just about us being able to, if you like, maintain the levels that we've done. But because we've had a pretty solid start to the season, really, and it's nice to be in a positive run, but it means nothing now. It's about performing in the next game. So sorry to be sorry to pour water on it again, but it's not really about talking too much about what's gone on. It's about how we approach this game and go into it with a positive mentality and a positive mindset to recreate the type of performances that we've had.
I'm interested in the word momentum. Do you hold much store by that? 4 wins, 2 draws in the last 6.
I'm always aware of, you can have positive momentum, you can have negative momentum, and certainly we've experienced over the last year and a half some elements which have been difficult to deal with on a negative side in terms of home form. So, those, I'm aware of it, but it doesn't really. It's a psychological aspect of playing sport, and you've got to try and utilise positive momentum, and you've got to try and harness positive feelings that maybe fan bases have. But the reality is that it's always about your team having to go out there and reproduce as close to their best as possible. And that's all we're trying to do. So it's always good to see people enjoying themselves, but it's all about performance. And we've just got to make sure that our performance is right. If our performance is right and we lose the game, I'm not, I don't lose sleep over that, because it's about trying to get the best out of the players, or rather the players get the best out of themselves, because they've been driving this recently, and I think the players have done exceptionally well. But like I say, that's all past now. It's about looking very much at the present, and it is about performing against Preston now.
All good at the top end of the pitch. At the other end, you spoke after Saturday about feeling less nervous and perhaps the players being more assured about closing games out. Does that come with their familiarity with each other, knowing their place? Because 6-7 months ago, that wouldn't have been the case.
It's about leadership as well. I think Carl Naismith's had a really big effect on the group, but also some of our other senior players have continue, and it's not that they've not had in the past, they continue to have a very positive effect within the group. I don't think we've defended, some of our, when people look at results and when we can see goals, I think people just expect it to be defenders that haven't done jobs. It's not that we we have to be efficient as a team in both directions. And yeah, I think against Blackburn in particular, it's annoying to concede 2 goals because the game wasn't that tight. But that's where we need to improve in terms of being an efficient team defensively. I think some of our defenders have made real improvements, and yeah, I tend to look at it as an overview of what the team's doing. So we've done okay, but we can do better, and we can do better by closing games out with more authority. I mean, we have at least kept some clean sheets this season, but that needs to be one of our collective goals before every game, is to keep a clean sheet. And the strikers play a massive part in that, because they are our first line of defence. And so if we're pressing effectively, then that gives us a better chance of scoring goals but keeping clean sheets.
You're operating with a tight squad, as you say. Nice to have players mostly fit. Thomas Callis, Eamon Benarius, how are they progressing?
Well, Eamon will be, because it's an ACL, he's doing great actually in terms of his recovery, but you can't rush these things. And he will be, if we say somewhere around Christmas time, then that builds in a bit of a buffer for him. If it's earlier, great, but I don't expect it to be. Thomas, because of the type of injury that he's had, it's a bit of a slow recovery, but he will be hopefully back in the mix with us in the autumn, so in a season.
So he's had the surgery and he's now...
Yeah, he's had a procedure which is quite a difficult one to get to, so I've said it before, he's played with a bit of discomfort for a while now. And we'll just see how this one progresses. But hopefully he'll be back, sometime in maybe October, November, which will be good for us because, yeah, we operate with tight numbers.
Under 21s, they played on Monday with quite a few players who weren't kind of under 21s, so you watched that. To give those players that game time, keep them match sharp is important. What did you see from that particular game?
Well, they need to play just to make sure that they are ready, whether that be mentally or physically. They've got to, the players who, if you've got a relatively settled side, there is a danger of players who are substitutes or on the periphery not being ready when they get the chance. And they've all got to be ready, because over the course of a season, we are going to need the entirety of the squad. At the minute, we've managed to avoid too many injuries, certainly unnecessary injuries, and which is down to a lot of hard work with the staff, but also, the players being diligent too. But there's no doubt throughout the course of the season, you pick injuries up, you pick suspensions up, which we've already had one, and things change. So players have to be ready, and I say it quite a lot, but they'll get their chance when they least expect it, some of them, and it's up to them to be ready. It's not my job to get them ready. They've got to be ready themselves.
Stefan Bacic is looking as if he's getting ready. He's trained fully with the first team, warmed up against Blackburn. Yeah. How soon do you think we might see him in an under-21 game?
Hopefully in the next couple of weeks. He's had the type of injury which you've got to be a little bit careful with. It was good to include him in the trip to Blackburn just so he can experience what it's like to be with his teammates. He's a good lad as well. He's a hard worker. So hopefully the answer to that is in the next few weeks. And I think once he's up and running, it brings more competition to an area of the side that we already have really good competition.